legislative strategist and women's sports spokesperson at Concerned Women for America. I am so honored to be here on behalf of our president, Penny Nance, and our 500,000 leaders across the nation. CWA members have been fighting this issue for a decade, and we've been laughed out of every setting possible. And so we are so glad to see the nation's highest court taking our concerns seriously. Gender ideology is not a new concept. Stretching back to creation itself, humanity has rebelled against God's design and rejected the fact that we are created in His image, male and female. But beyond that, it is self-evident that men and women are biologically different. And when we ignore something so clearly objective as our sex and replacing it with these empty concepts like transgenderism, it pulls the rug out from the truth that our public policy was founded on, and women's opportunity is left unprotected. And I know this reality far too well because I had to compete against a man who identified as transgender when I was in high school. It was at the height of my recruiting process, and my opportunity to compete safely and fairly was dismissed and rejected because one man identified as transgender. Though this man had plenty of opportunities to compete with the men on the opposite side of the convention center, where, by the way, the nets are over 7 inches higher than the women's nets. And I can say from experience that it was absolutely offensive to force women to pretend that our sex is nothing but a costume. And I felt humiliated when those college scouts who I had worked my entire life to impress instead saw this man slam the ball in our faces. Now, by the grace of God, I get to spend 4 years of my life in the NCAA, and I spent every minute trying to change the rules from within. I started testifying from my dorm room as a freshman in college, and I will tell you right now, the NCAA wanted nothing to do with me. They didn't see me as a female athlete they represented to empower. They saw me as a burden. And I used my credentials to get in NCAA conventions, and I'll tell you there's another one happening right now. Down the street, just a couple miles away at the National Harbor, Charlie Baker, Linda Livingstone, they're all here. And I challenged them yesterday. I said, if you really care about female athletes, I will see you on the steps of the Supreme Court tomorrow. Has anyone seen Charlie Baker? Come up here right now if you're here. No, because this evil ideology has poisoned our institutions, and it has failed women. And that's why this case is so important. The Supreme Court is our last line of defense. And that's why I joined CWA's Young Women for America. We have been attending these NCAA conventions, lobbying the halls of Congress, protesting sports events, testifying, pushing legislation, showing up in courtrooms all across the country, just as we are today, to protect women's dignity. And women's dignity means no men in women's sports, no men in women's locker rooms, no men in women's spaces. And we pray that these justices will see that women's sports are for women only. Thank you.